News First, face to face with Shalan Benedict.
Very good evening and welcome to another edition of Face to Face. We're joined today by former parliamentarian and former chairman of COPE Committee, Mr. Gunasekara. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on our program today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Gunasekara, now, of course, given your years of experience in the political arena of Sri Lanka, this is an election year. Do you think this election year will be similar to the elections or the important election years that have come and gone in the past? Or would this mark maybe a turning point in Sri Lanka, taking into consideration everything that has happened during the past few years?
I think you are correct. I also feel that it's going to be a turning point. The sense that, we are facing a very profound, deep, unprecedented, decisive economic crisis. Even still, I think most of the, not only parliamentarians, even some of the intellectuals, they have not really understood or comprehended the gravity of this crisis. So therefore, this crisis will be reflected in the politics, society and the culture. Right. And so the other thing is that constitutionally we are required to have the presidential election. So before October 18th, this should be finished. So therefore, even if the president wants, he can't put off constitutional requirement, he will not go through unless he decides to abolish the presidency and then come and go for a referendum. That is,
but do you think
there's remote possibility for that.
Okay.
Then, therefore, there are a number of new factors that have emerged as far as this incoming presidential and general elections are concerned. First thing is, we are having a general election or presidential election in the midst of a grave crisis. So therefore, and the people are really, from the UNDP reports, they have not been published, given publicity in the press yet. I saw, for the first time, 1% of the people account for 31% of the wealth. And 10%, top 10% account for 64% of the income, national income. Never in the history, our history, such a thing. So that is so the inequality, that is the effect of the crisis. The effect that has to be borne by the ordinary people. Right. And the bottom line 50%, they receive only 4% of the national income. So that is why I said, and this will be going to be reflected in the political process and also the society. Already we see it, and not only that, has further gone into the culture, and you see, you see the completely establishment, families and crumbled and various other problems have for the murders are there, suicides are there, homicides are there. Various things are, they all are reflection of the crisis, economic crisis. So therefore, naturally, this will be reflected in the results of the election. So to what extent we can't say. So from here to the October, the polarization take place. Then the other thing is, we are facing this election at a time when there's a deep national leadership crisis in the country.
There's a massive lacuna for...
Right. And only Ranil Wickremesinghe is a man, old stager. Others are new. And and I wonder, not the people are beginning to, most of the people now who I have met, they say they are frightened how to choose whether whoever the man who is elected, whether he will be able to tackle the situation. If it might go beyond control. And with that, it's a calamity in the country, say riots and other things, food riots.
Because we've experienced that.
Yes,
we've experienced that in 2000.
And it might lead to a military takeover if we can't control. So those tendencies are there. So trends are there.
So, Mr. Gunasekara, just before we get into your possible predictions for how things will pan out this year, I mean, as vague as they might be, Just to get to know where your biases lie, Mr. Gunasekara, who are you looking at supporting?
No,
for
we
the
have not
upcoming
decided
election?
it. We are waiting because we still don't know whether Ranil is going to contest or not. Only Sajid, he told me that he is contesting. He phoned me and he told me he is going to contest.
Okay.
That's so I know even Anura, no, they are not really, in my view, not eyeing for the presidency. He is taking this opportunity to get a substantial increase in the parliament. That is the purpose. They are using the presidential election for that purpose.
But recently I heard Andhra Kumar Dissanayake making a statement saying that there is a possibility that if the NPP is maybe one of the front runners at the presidential polls, maybe they'd push the presidential polls a little bit later and call for early parliamentary elections.
From the beginning they were harping on it. They were insisting that parliamentary election should proceed.
When you say they were insisting, who was insisting?
No, even JVP.
Even JVP.
And Sajid both.
Okay.
They say Ranil has no mandate. And there's a big gap between the government and the
between parliament and the people.
And the public, the social no social contract.
Yes.
He must get a mandate. So that was there. So naturally, I'm both thinking that really eyeing for the parliamentary election more than the presidential election.
Okay. So moving forward now, you say you have not decided to support any candidate. What are the discussions like?
No, maybe that we may also put forward a candidate.
You will also put forward a candidate?
Yeah, I mean, don't have alliance as that.
So, are you in discussion with?
We are in discussion with number of. I don't mention name. Okay. There is a time the fellows are like frogs jumping from party to party.
So you're not still sure. You're not still sure what's going to happen.
I am not sure. Well, we take a principal position. This crisis, you can't find a solution from a right-wing government. Completely. If necessary, I can tell you later how we view that question today. Then the other thing is, there's no room for a left government. Right? And the decisive section of the society is in the middle center. It should be a right center, or center right, or center left, or left center, that type of formation. That is the reality. Now you see, we got about 16 million voters. Right. This time about 60% of the voters were really born after 1978.
After 1978.
Right.
Okay.
So the 60% has never seen what has happened prior to, under the parliamentary system or since independence. So completely they know only what had happened last, say, 30 to 40 years. Right. That's a decisive vote. Right? Yeah. That is one factor. The other thing is the leadership crisis, as I told you. Therefore, there are large old people. They say, there is no Mathenia or from a mind, there's no one. How can we have reliance on them? Will they be able to deliver goods? They got whether the whole thing go out of their control. So there's a sense of fear. It's just justifiable, right? So that is another factor, I think, which is going to influence it. Then the other thing is, now 2 years have lapsed since the outbreak of the crisis. Last 2 years, what has the government done except in the attempt to restructure the debt? Nothing else has been done. Really, at a time of a severe economic crisis, the national priority should be given to production, productivity, and nothing else. I mean, there's no increase in the production. When there's no increase in production, how will it be reflected in the living standard of the people?
So, but the government might argue quite the contrary on that, because there were attempts to privatize certain loss-making SOEs.
You won't get any results at all. You can privatize. They will take over, and then you must start production on the agriculture, industrial. No production at all.
So you mean government?
You leave the privatization, you won't get immediate results from the privatization.
You believe that?
What I mean is that I mean, the whole cabinet should have given a concentrated attempt should have been made on the increase in production. And the entire SME sector is out of gear. So without, how can we, there's no, therefore, I mean, the root fundamental cause of the crisis is dearth of dollar, dearth of rupee, their inability to repay payment.
Excessive spending on the part of the government.
Right, that's right. Then there's an additional factor, there is the international factor, the global economic recession and financial turmoil in the global. So that it has its own impact on here. So these are the four main factors. So therefore, what is the remedy? Increase exchange. So that tourism is one, foreign remittance is the other is the exports. Export is still going down. I mean, from 1978. I mean, that is why I'm so sorry. I was also parliamentarian. I was listening to the debate, 3 debates during the course of this crisis. Not a single MP, except 1 or 2 just here mentioned, and attempted to give the fundamental causes that led to the crisis. That is, say, the exchange crisis. But how is that? Imports exceeds the export. Imports exceed almost double. So therefore, no net foreign exchange earnings. That is one thing. The other thing is, Gunasekara, when he was Minister of Finance, he brought in an amendment to the Exchange Control Act that created some loopholes. That is why Vijayadhara in the cabinet as well as in the parliament openly said about 52 billion has not come into the country through the exchange. It has gone through the leaks. That is one thing. So that still the government has not closed all those loopholes. Exchange control. So then you take the rupee. This is no one has mentioned the fact this is the only country in the world where a crisis has taken place, where the local currency is not out of hand. Money, rupee is not flowing into the treasury. What is that? Because of the economic policy, the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. Now, 24% government revenue we had in 1978. I looked at the Rodney Mel's budget speeches, 78%, so 24% government revenue of the GDP. It came down 20% during Premadasa. It came down to 16% during Chandrika. It came down to 13% during Mahind. It came down to 8% during Ravi Karunanak and Mangalam as finance minister.
During the
came down to 6%. Gotabaya Basil. So down the line for last 40 years, it is coming down. I can say as an MP and minister, for 13 times I have in my budget speech debate been a member on the opposition as well as the government, brought this to the notice, pleaded with the government. There were 14 amnesties. So when amnesty means no tax. The result was that we didn't have no other country in the world, Argentina or Greece or anyone, they never lost the local currencies. I mean, they lost the foreign exchange. That's understandable. That is because that fiscal and monetary policies. So that has to be. Now only that is running has walked from slumbers and trying to recover with all VAT and this and putting all the burdens on the middle class. And so that's why there's a big how.
But Mr. Gunasekara, now are you in agreement with the current increase in the VAT? Because now it's a known fact that the government has to increase their revenue, and like you very correctly pointed out, the government has missed out on a lot of income that is due to the government over the course of the past 40 years. So the government must recover this money.
No, that's right. I know, I have been working in the Inland Department as an official who is doing investigation. I know the whole in and out of it. You know, the reason is now in 1947 you take the DS Senanayaga, the highest slab income tax was 70%. Right? Till 1977 it was 70%. Jayajada reduced to 55. Right? Then Premadasa reduced to 45. Chandrika reduced to 35. Mahindra Rajapaksa reduced to 28. Then again 24. Basil Rajapaksa reduced to 14. So where money? All the money is there in the finance capital people.
The businessmen.
I mean, trade, not trading class so much. It's finance. Yeah, this is a peculiar situation. The world law, that is the new feature of neoliberalism. Finance capital emerges over and above others. Now we have no landowners in our country now. No land proprietors. No industrial capitalist class. Because no industry, few industries are there. So here we have only finance companies, leasing companies, banks, and these are all money what we produce. They are channeled to that sector, and they are the people. That is why Gunasekara wants to come and contest. He is the leader of the finance capital, and the billionaires. Even there are a billionaire, 2 billionaires in the society because they say the other people who are running. So these are new development, new situation, which the government, either the government or the opposition have not drawn people's attention.
So in your mind, businessmen coming and contesting for the election or the current front runners from among the businessmen, they have a right. I understand, but you don't look at it too positively in your books. You don't look at it too positively in your books. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think finally. I can tell you finally. Mahindra Rajapaksa and Ranil Wickremesinghe come to a deal, and Gunasekara will not come in case Ranil comes. You wait and you mark my words.
So what is your prediction? Do you
predict? I can't predict. That's a situation is so complex and complicated.
So what?
I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, even if I think such a person might. But I don't want to discuss.
No, but what are the possible scenarios that we're really looking at now? We have a businessman.
No, still until nominations are given. I am from the point of say parties. I can say the UNP.
So, but then in that case, do you think that there is a possibility that Ranil Wickremesinghe might contest through the SLPP?
No one will get 50%.
No. I'm asking you: is there a possibility that Ranil Wickremesinghe will be nominated as the presidential candidate of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna?
Yeah.
There's a possibility.
They will come to that deal.
There's a possibility. So you're saying that there is a real possibility that the current president, instead of running under the United National Party, which is his party, in which he is the leader, he will choose to, or he will be loved by the SLPP to run under their ticket.
Yeah.
That's a real possibility. And there's also a possibility of businessman Gunasekara Pereira coming into the fold.
No, I don't think he will come.
You don't think?
In case Mahindra Rajapaksa agreed with Ranil on the Ranil Wickremesinghe candidature, Gunasekara will not come.
Do you think the UMP SLPP alliance would be a successful one? What's the rate of success?
I mean, successful or not, there is no alternative. Just at the moment, I think Mahindra Rajapaksa, he's a well-seasoned politician. He's a man, unlike others, he can see through. Right? He will advise his son, you wait for some time, you try to be a leader of the opposition and try your luck at the next presidential election. Knowing very well who Mahindra Rajapaksa is, I know what advice he would have given.
So I think we're in the final few minutes of the show. Mr. Gunasekara, however, now besides the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the United National Party, the Samagi Jana Balawege, there is also the National People's Power Movement that's now gaining traction.
Yes, no, Samagi because that is the already. I mean, it was substitute for the UNP, no. When it's really that the lower ranks of the UNP are with Sajid. There's no question about. The upper strata may be the UNP. Although they went, this time they might reconsider and come back. Because taking the overall situation, there's a feeling amongst the top capitalist class that I think Ranil will do better job than Sajid as far as the crisis is concerned. Taking his education level, experiences, and his cunningness and shrewdness and
but do you share that same sentiment?
That is the view of the capitalist class.
Okay.
They want a unity. You wait until the last moment. The capitalist class will bring pressure on Ranil and Sajid to come to a deal. It may not come. That is another thing. As the class view is that they should get together. Or Sajid to be Prime Minister and Ranil. That is the view of the capitalist class, I know.
So what about the NPP, the new party that is coming?
New
Not
party.
the new party.
It's a left party.
It's a left party, yes.
That is in the absence of any other protest, because that is a protest vote. Particularly, I have seen it's a good meeting, a well-attended meeting, and JVP has always been, even from 1971. I can remember what Professor Sumatipala, who was a JVP doctor, medicine, he told in a recent interview, he said he backed Ronald, he took Ronald Vijay right around the country in 1982 presidential election. Then immediately after the polls were closed, he has asked, then he was a doctor, not a professor. Then, what do you think about it? He says, about 10 lakhs. You don't know how to. I tell you, I will get not more than 2.5 lakhs.
Rohana
Yes, not Rohana
Vijay
Vijay at all. See, people come to see they appreciate our speeches. Finally they will not vote.
But
I mean, this is 1977. You can't compare. The situation has completely changed.
So, but do you think that there is a real possibility of maybe?
I mean, they will do well. They will do well, and in my view, knowing very well the leaders of the UJVP, very well, who with because I normally, I know practically I am in talking terms with all the leaders of all political parties.
Yes.
Right? Ranil speak to me, Sajid speak to me. All of this, so I know how they think, feel about it, and they will do well. But they are in. Not at the presidential election, but at the parliamentary election.
But then, of course, there are also ongoing demands.
No, I mean, they will not tell. I mean,
they're obvious, yes. No, but what I'm trying to say is that there has been calls since the presidency of Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga for the abolishment of the executive presidency, and the SJB, the NPP, even the UNP and the SLPP on several occasions had made many promises to abolish the executive presidency. So in that
people gave a mandate to Chandrika, people gave a mandate to Mahinda, people gave a mandate to
Maithripala Sirisena. And out of all those presidents, I believe President Maithripala Sirisena was the one who at least did the most in reducing the powers of the presidency. And subsequently retracted on that.
Credit should be given to him. That's
where it is due. Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara, for joining us on our program. Very insightful discussion, of course, on the political situation in Sri Lanka during these extremely turbulent times. But one thing is for sure, a choice is going to come along your way in just a matter of a few months, and this choice will determine the future course of the lives of the future of not only this country, but the lives of your children, the lives of their children, and generations to come in this country. Mistakes have been made in the past, and we are suffering as a result of those mistakes. Let's try not to repeat those mistakes and vote wisely, vote with our minds and not with our hearts, and make Sri Lanka great again. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara, for joining us on our program again. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there. We'll see you again, same time, same place, tomorrow.
Pleasure to be with you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gunasekara. Until we meet again, take care and God bless.